Thank you so much, Disha, for introducing me, and I thank Mice and Disha and the team to invite me to talk on this important and very sensitive topic for every startup founder that is required in today's crisis time in the startup ecosystem. And I really want that this session has to be very interactive. So while I'm talking, this is my what you say, a demand from all of you who are seeing me. Keep on putting questions on anything and everything I'm talking about in this presentation or in this session, because I want to make sure that you guys are understanding what I'm talking about, and it has to be adding value in what you're doing in your current journey, if you're starting up or you will be starting up, if you have already started up. So okay, so starting Disha has already introduced me well, and just a few add-ons to it, that I am currently in the ecosystem helping more and more entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, who can come up with their ideas, get it validated, and give it a first start. A startup is startup when you start it, right? So I you can consider me a person at Atal Innovation Mission as a mentor of change, where I am pushing new founders who can come up to me, or the people like me, and take expertise our expertise to have more knowledge about if they are going in the right path or not, right? So starting with this, here as the topic is for the today, that how we should pitch to the investors, and basically how to be a pitch ready founder when you're going to any person. So it's not about investor, it's about even if you're talking about to a friend. I am a very direct story person. I whatever I speak, I have a story behind it. I have story with it to tell, so that you understand better. When I started my journey as an entrepreneur, Easy to Pitch was not my first venture. It was a wedding listing platform, where I was in just second year of my graduation in my engineering, electrical engineering, that too. And I chose to do an internship in an event where I am maintaining the stage backstage. And from there I recognized so many problems happening with the event industry, and there I came up with wedding industry, wedding platform, right? So sooner or later I realized that there are many much to learn. uh, and when I talk about how it is related to pitching, I think everybody could relate that when we think of something, we share it, right? If I started up wedding planning platform, my parents were the first people to whom I spoke about it, that I have this, I want to do this, and this can be this. So this was what I just gave an example. Sorry. Yeah, the example that I gave is nothing but a pitch. So pitch is generally not happening to just investors, but anything and everything that we do in communicating what we are thinking about, or it has a selling proposition to around anybody. So my first pitch was to my parents, right? I spoke to them about my idea, and they gave me a feedback, right? So then certainly I came up with more ideas and pitched to them and gave me feedbacks. Apart from parents, then came the main reality, where I'm coming out and I'm talking to my potential customers. So now this is the time I'm making another pitch, that I want someone to buy my service, buy my product, right? So I have to tell him that this is what I'm giving to you, and this will be a value addition to what you want, right? So here another pitch I made, where I convinced my customers. Now comes the another form of pitch, which I made to my peer members, what you say, networking people, when I was going to start up meetups. So I am also a volunteer in Headstart Network Foundation from last 3 to 4 years, where I am acting as an active startup evangelist. And there my journey began, where it was my first startup meetup, and I was in the audience, and I got an opportunity to speak, to network with more people. And there I grabbed the opportunity of sharing about my idea to a random person, from which I got a feedback. So here again I made a pitch, right? Then now what I am here for to tell you, the pitch we make to investors. So we have to keep in mind that pitch is nothing just only what we are doing to the investors, but anybody and everybody to whom we are telling about our idea and what we are focusing around, right? So this is all a pitch about. So I'll share a presentation with you guys that how we usually be perfect when we are pitching to anybody and everybody, but mainly, of course, investors in this presentation. Okay, so I'm sharing the screen. Do not forget to put questions in the comment section, please. I want to see it interactive. Okay, Disha, just confirm me once you see the screen, full screen, not the
Yeah, it's
presentation.
there. It's visible. It's fine.
Yeah, full screen is there. Okay,
Yeah.
so how to pitch your idea? So I am not sure if at what stage you guys are. So believing that you must be at a very idea stage or at a prototype stage, and I believe that this is the best time to know about all these things, because this will be everlasting in your journey till you go to different rounds of raise or different kind of pitches. So people who have already gone to a stage where they are raising, I wouldn't say that they need much of an expertise on how they are pitching, because they've already made a journey of convincing people. When I started up 6 years down the line, my first pitch was the worst. I was fumbling. I don't know what I'm talking, but I did it as it is, what I was having in my mind. And that day and today's day is something north and south. And now I believe that I have made lakhs of times of pitches, and that's why I believe I'm a perfect I am more or less a perfect person to make a pitch or guide a person to pitch, right? So how to pitch your idea, right? So coming to the very first topic, first part of subtopic of the thing, what I talked about is what is a pitch. Pitch is nothing what you are trying to communicate to someone, which includes a value proposition. So why one pitches? When I was giving you an example, you must be thinking of, there are different types of pitches. There are different types of people to whom I'm pitching, starting from my parents, starting to my potential customers, to a random person in a network, and then to investors. So why a pitch is made generally? So first of all, to get validation. When I was talking to my parents to make a pitch, it was because of a validation thing I was seeking, that they will tell me, as they have been teaching me throughout my education. I'm sure they'll at least give me a good feedback that, is this workable or not, or shall I take a step in doing this or not, or this idea sounds interesting or exciting or not. So that's where I get a validation. And then comes get feedbacks. Similarly, by validation comes feedbacks. They'll tell you, no, I think this market is very competitive. या सीधा मेरे parents ने तो सीधा बोला था that तुम्हारे बस की नहीं है. You are just 21, and just do not talk big things and talking about the market right now. You have just done your graduation. Not even done your graduation, you are in college right now. You're focused on your exams, right? So here comes the first feedback that I got from my parents. So then gradually I spoke to more people and got a better feedbacks. It was about technical terms rather than just talking about I can do or not. But of course, parents sometimes do say right, uh, help us to prevent failings. So then comes making customers to buy your products. So another pitch again, just मैंने बोला that you have to sell your service to the potential customers, and where you are making another form of pitch. Then collaborate. So today is the time where business works with collaborations, whether it's startup, whether it's already an established company, or it's an MNC, right? So collaboration is the key of growth in any industry or every industry. So here you make another pitch where you talk to somebody as who is your competitor or who could add value to your company, and you go and pitch that person again to collaborate. And in the end, which is a very common one, to raise funds from the investors. So that is why we make different types of pitches. Disha, do confirm questions are coming or not.
So far we don't have any questions,
No
but
problem. But keep
we
on
have
telling me after 5 minutes.
a list of, but we already have a list of frequently asked questions. Like there
Great,
are a
great,
lot of questions. So we
great,
should create.
great. So then comes, okay. So before going to the three types of pitches, starting with the term, I come up with a story. So I come back to the slide. So how I started pitching, why pitching? the main reason that came in my mind. So as I told, I was never into this industry. I'm an electrical engineer. I had a experience in I had an experience in marketing consulting in an education firm, and certainly there is a time that I'm starting up again with my second venture. First was in college, and now that I'm now mature person, I know I have learned how an organization works by in a job, and then I have decided to start another thing, which is a vendor listing platform. Earlier it was wedding vendor listing platform, and now it's like complete vendor listing platform, right? Cheapest and nearest it was, where um, I gathered the team, I did everything. Then comes that I have to make a pitch. I invested what I had, what I was earning in my last job, and I invested in it, and now I'm with zero money. So now it's the time that I need to pitch to someone, right? And so I was a person who did a lot of representations of my company to different embassies, whether it's France and Germany, and I was getting appreciated with my skills in a presentation. So then a time came when I'm making a presentation for my own startup, and it was 20 to 25 slided startup deck, where the content was so much and so elaborated. And what I did was as LinkedIn is a very common platform, and trust me guys, there were no opportunities of getting easy mentorship or easy network with investors. So this is like 6 to 7 years back, where the ecosystem was not that much established, right? So I would say that I connected with 10 different investors through LinkedIn, and I send my presentation to everybody. I send my pitch to everybody, and as everybody has this feedback or a viewpoint that nobody gives you a feedback. Any founder, like out of I would say 10 founders I meet, 7 out of them say that we are sending it to the investment firms, but there is no feedback. Something happened to me as well. But I would say I was lucky enough to get one reply out of 10 from the 10 investors. Not one, I would say I got two more later from Indian Angel Networks and many more, who gave me few suggestions, which was not towards about my presentation or my startup, but more of that it's very early stage for you, so just do more, right? Then this it was a person, I wouldn't name it, and I was lucky enough that he spent time in writing essays as feedback for my pitch. And it was actually an essay. For every slide he like wrote so much critical points, so much critics, and I was like, so then where you are so proud about your skill, and suddenly there is a bang person telling you about where you stand right now, and you get a reality check. So there, I actually got underground for 3 months, and worked on my pitch day and night, whether it's market research, whether it's financials, whether it's business plan. And it's not, trust me, it's not only about the design and content, it's everything in the back end that and you're comprising it into a 10 slided deck, right? And to make it perfect so that investors get convinced rather than giving you such critics. So 3 months I took, and I certainly came up with a deck which I shared again to those investors, and I got very good feedback. I got awards, I got recognition, top 3,000 startups, top 30 women entrepreneurs at IIT Delhi, lot of stuff, just because of that one presentation. And that was the time I realized that, dude, that I am not the only person around in the globe, in India and across the globe, that are facing this problem. If we are saying that so many people are getting rejected, why? Right? So this was a story why I started up. Coming up, what types of pitches are there, right? Earlier we spoke about what and why. What are pitches and why we do a pitch. Now here is types of pitches we do. So as the content is very clear and very straightforward, the very first pitch that we generally do is a one-line pitch. So let's come to what is a one-line pitch, right? So one-line pitch is nothing, as the term says, anything that you are saying has to be in very much in one line and very much crisp, right? So you need to grab an opportunity now. You know that you don't have that much time, hardly 10 seconds. 10 seconds are also too much, trust me. So you know that you are in an event, startup meetup per se, and physical event. Now I am knowing that we cannot go in there to attend meetups, but you got an opportunity there to attend a meetup there physically, and there is an investor in the speaking panel, and there after the event in the networking session, he's just rushing out. He has to grab the car, he has to go somewhere, and you just got 10 seconds to just shake your hand and introduce who you are, and even just ask about him, about his business card, right? So when he's actually rushing, so one liner pitch works there, grabbing the opportunity um, of that investor or anybody there. So for an example, we are X for Y. So this example is very simple. I'm sure many of you know that every company has a tagline. Like Nike has a tagline, Reebok has a tagline, McDonald's has a tagline, right? I'm loving it. So every company has a tagline. Why a tagline is used? There it tells you a story about the company, about what, that's the standard they set for their company. So if I talk about one line pitch, for example, I will like take every example of my company so that you understand what I'm talking about. So as the example says, at Easy to Pitch, we make founders pitch ready. So I just told this, I spoke this only in 2 to 3 seconds. And if I am talking to a person with expression, it will hardly take 5 to 7 seconds. So here, what I'm saying, I'm talking about the X. I'm talking about at Easy to Pitch, my company name. And what we are doing is we make founders pitch ready. Who and what. So that's all. One line pitch is done. And then when this is so much impressible or so attractive that the person who is listening to you will definitely what I say will ask you to tell me about it more, take my business card. Right. So this is how the one line pitch works. Coming to the next slide. So do not worry, it will be get back to us in I guess few seconds. Yeah, it's there. So here comes the another form of pitch, that is elevator pitch. So what is an elevator pitch? I'm sure everybody here have heard about it very well. Anybody you're going to pitch, mainly of course mentors and investors, they talk about send me an elevator pitch. But do we really know what is an elevator pitch? So, okay, coming to the context here again, elevator pitch, how it works. You can see in background that the people are standing in an elevator, and I'm just visualizing or making you visualize the situation where again you have to catch up of investor, uh, rushing to a parking slot, and he is going through the lift, and suddenly you went inside the lift and you are grabbing the opportunity to tell him about the startup. I'm sure you guys have seen many business movies, where actually people are running after the top industrialists and grabbing that lift wala, opportunity by, just rushing inside the lift and talking to the person, to the business owner, right? So that is what call an elevator pitch. So a great elevator pitch, gets to have like help us to get a next meeting. That's the another stage where the person asks you to come and meet, right? So what an elevator pitch consists of or is made up of. Okay, so here it is a solution, an attraction, team, and market validation. So again, so whatever I'm adding slide by slide in the type of pitch, do not forget what we had in the last one, right? So if I'm saying who will be added to it, that company is easy to pitch, and then we are adding solution, traction, team, and market validation. So here is an example. In order to reduce rejection, we, a team of investment experts and IM alumnus, have served more than 350 startups pan India, making them pitch ready for the next fundraise. So here you get 60 seconds, dot 60 seconds. If I am just reading it, I took 20 seconds, 20 seconds also, not 15 seconds, right? And then I am speaking in front of the person with an expression. It should not go beyond 60 seconds, please. I'm giving you still a leverage for that, but 60 is too much, right? So here is how an elevator pitch happens, where a person is understanding about your company by a solution. Here the solution is we are making founders pitch ready if they are facing a rejection, right? So this is the solution. Traction is there, 350 plus startup founders. And then we have market validation. When I'm saying that I have made such a traction, in startup pan India, like startups pan India, the market validation I have done already. That is, the problem is existing. That's why I have such a like traction around. So that is how an elevator pitch works. So first was one liner pitch, then was elevator pitch, then the third comes the basic, what everybody would be knowing is what you say, a pitch deck. Yeah, too much of, yeah, a pitch deck. So a pitch deck is nothing but an 8 and 11 slided presentation, which, it's an introduction to your company, to your idea, to your startup. So that's in the form of documentation. Now you are certainly not available to speak, but your presentation speaks. So anybody here would agree with me that if you're talking to a person in hurry, even if you grab the opportunity to take 60 seconds, the person will ask you to next meet, or at least mail me the presentation. I will go through it and then we can have a meeting. Okay, now comes to the third set of type of pitch, that is the pitch deck. So many people, many founders, not many, 98% of the founders are still not aware of a difference between, a pitch deck, a business and a business plan. What I can say here, many investors or many experienced top industrialists, when want to put money as an angel investors, they are, I'm not sure, or if I'm sure, I would say that they are not aware about the trends. They are not aware of the normal pitching trends. They are like 18 to 20 years old corporate person, and it wants to be an angel investor and doesn't know about anything about a pitch deck. And now what he asks, you send me a business plan. Now here, a person gets confused whether he's asking me a pitch deck or he's asking me a business plan. And what is the difference? So there is a very thin line of difference between these both things. Pitch deck is an introduction to your startup. You cannot, or you should not put everything on the first presentation, because that is, if you put everything on it, no, you will lose that opportunity of engagement, that a person comes back to you in a short period of time to ask you questions that, okay, tell me more about it, tell me these questions, why he's coming, because he couldn't find that in the pitch deck, and but he is interested. And now, when he's asking question to you, that he has an interest in that, asking you questions. If you're sending him everything, no, I'm sure that person will not revert you before 9 to 10 days, and that is loss of time. So you have to understand, a business plan is a detailed business executive summary of 8 to 10 slides, not slides, sorry, Word document, where you are talking about everything about your startup in detail. Very much detail. Talk about finances. You have to talk about finances in detail with your charts. And then again, in the end, the ask. So I won't take you through much of the time of explaining what a pitch deck has, because that's a typical template which everybody can find on Google. So generally it has a problem, it has a solution, it has team, that who is executing the plan, the market, TAM, SAM, SOM. TAM is total addressable market, that is how much reach of market you want to target, or like what is the total market that you want to capture, whether it's in India or globally. Then comes your SAM, which is your total serviceable achievable market, which you can, which comes into your service industry. Suppose you have some service and you see that can be a potential client, and you can grab that client, and it comes in SAM. And then comes your SOM. SOM is obtainable market. Obtainable market, that of course 100% is your market, 50% is your direct market, and 20% is what you can achieve, you can obtain. So this is how we differentiate TAM, SAM, SOM. And when you're sending your pitches, please be accurate with your market and do not juggle or put fake details that actually gives the wrong impact, because people to whom you're pitching are way more smarter than you. Product, technology, what product you are using, what technology you are innovating there. If you're a medical student, there are many research works you must have done, many technology that you have thought of or written thesis on, you can always present that here. business model, how you are like thinking of making a money, whether it's a subscription plan, it's a membership plan, it's a one-time sale, or anything and everything. Then comes your traction. How much are you like projecting to target? Suppose I say that I have 350 plus clients right now. I project 1,000 more clients in this financial year, 1,000 more founders. That is my current traction and traction which I'm projecting. Then comes your competition. That competition can be direct and indirect. Direct are someone who are selling direct your product or service directly. It's a direct competitor. It's a direct competitor. Okay. So I hope the voice is not echoing. Yeah. Okay. So competition, direct and indirect. I was saying direct is something. If I am selling a pen, my competitor is again selling a pen with a different brand. If I'm selling, so it's a direct competitor. If I'm selling, what do you say? I would say I'm selling food. Okay. If I'm selling a food, I have a restaurant, I'm selling Chinese. There is another person who is into the food industry but selling Punjabi food. He is my indirect competitor, not direct one, but indirect, right? So these are something that we need to mention in our competition slide and never ever write, I do not have a competition. Even if I'm talking about myself, I'll tell you, I was making our pitch deck yesterday for the very first time in last 3 years. Trust me, guys, I sat like till 4 a.m. because investors were asking. So when I was putting my competitors, I actually gave it a good search. That is someone doing what I am doing on a total circumference, like everything what I'm doing at one point, and nobody was there. So not even a no direct competitor, but indirect competitors, I would say. But I still mentioned that yes, there are indirect competitors, not a direct but indirect competitors, but they are also partnering with us now, who like they want us to serve their clients. And then one competitor globally, right? So this is how I did not leave it like empty. You can always add why you are important, sorry, why you are better than others. So you can always put these points to attract the investors in that slide. Ask and valuations, guys. My, what you say, alarming caution here: do not play with numbers. Ask and valuations has to be accurate, because अगर आप हवा में कोई भी number लिखेंगे, that would put a very bad impact and a rejection straightforward, because every person whom you're pitching has their own financial team to verify. So do not play with it. If you have zero revenue, no, right? You have a zero revenue. It's okay. It's okay to be truthful, but do not just play around with valuations and the amount that you're asking for. Then go to market strategies. This is an option if you want to put or not. It's just for an extra information you can put. So this is what a pitch deck generally is. Templates are very much available on the Google. You can find it. Everybody finds it. But I'm not here to promote the templates that you are available with on Google. I'm definitely give you a better solution to it. So what this slide says, one can get templates from Google anytime, but still startups get rejected. Why? Of course, they do get rejected. Just see this a real-time example. If you guys are from Mumbai, I'm sure Disha, you would be knowing 100x.vc, Sanjay Mehta, right? So this was Shashank and Sanjay. So whenever I visit Mumbai, as we are based out of there also, so I have meetings with people there, investors mainly, and Shashank and Sanjay is one of our close people, and this was what he said. Many a times we are just not able to understand what the founders or the team want to communicate in their pitch deck, and we have to say them a no. And the continuity which I haven't mentioned here is, even though they have a good business plan, still we have to reject them. They are into a good revenue stream, but still we have to reject them, because we are just not able to understand whether how long they will go or where they want to actually end up with, maybe the exit strategies. So that's why they reject, right? So coming to the template part again, and the communication part, which I am here for, guiding you how to be a better communication person when you're pitching. 65% of startups get rejected due to no proper pitch deck, even after the templates. Thus it relates to this point here, right? So, but why are they getting still rejected? Here are the points down. There is no storyline. When I started this session, everything that I started with, I had a story to tell, to engage you guys, to make you understand the main picture, or make you visualize what was behind it, right? So if you are telling about a startup, your idea, and it doesn't have a story, it makes no sense. And by story, do not take me in that way that first of all you say that we have 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and 60 seconds. How can we tell a story in 60 seconds? I'm sure many people come and object me this, and I'm like, by saying story or storyline doesn't mean that you have to say it all. I know, being a founder, everybody is passionate about telling that what big impact we are creating, right? But at the same time, you have to make sure that how much time you're taking it and how much crisp it is, right? When I was talking about elevator pitch here, about my startup, about easy to pitch, I actually made a storyline. It was in a flow that a person can understand from where I started, how I started, why I'm started, and where I am right now. Right? So a storyline is nothing about story behind your startup, but how much, what is the storyline, what is the flow of it, how you're framing it. Is it engaging or not? Right? Step by step it goes. So no storyline, so yes, they get rejected. Then comes too much content and no visuals. So this is an era of creativity. People seek creativity everywhere we go to make our eyes. मतलब होता ना कि when we make a poster, we think that how much soothing it should be so that I like it and I actually make it a click on it on social media and I reach that person, reach that company. No matter if I have a service or not, I need a service or not, but I want to know about it. So here, many startup founders, what they do is they put so much of content with no visuals, just plain, random template and so much of content. Now, very important point to note here. When I'm saying no visuals, too much content, I'm not talking about the design, a fancy design, right? You can see this presentation slide. This slide has nothing, just two lines on the top, two lines at the bottom, and the full plain screen. It's a design, it's a professional way, it's a simple, healthy, professional way in anybody would want to see it. So this is also a design. You don't need to go in a anxiety that I don't have a good design to showcase. You can always do it in a better form. Just stay simple and professional. And if you cannot do it, take support from companies, outsourcing companies. There is no harm on it. Even the top mentors of AICs, IIMs are actually outsourcing these things for their mentees to save their time. So poor design, as I mentioned, poor design means that you're not focusing on the fineness of the presentation, which will make which may attract or engage more investors or anybody you're pitching to. Even if you're making your semester presentations, your reports in your college, still these kind of skills are very much required. So coming to the next point, no proper market research and competition analysis. Guys, this is very critical. As I told, market research is very much important because that will validate your idea. Of course, validation takes place when you are communicating to people and getting feedback or asking people who would pay to you. Of course, that's a validation. But validation also exists when you are seeing that you have taken feedback of 10 people. Now what? Now you have to capture a bigger market in millions. So is the market validated already? Is the problem faced by 10 people would be same as problems faced by millions of people? So that is another set of validation which market research helps in. And the competition analysis, which I told you, that many people do not talk about the competition. I'll tell you a real-time example. Gaurav Kachru, who is investor at five startup Fuse, um, majorly into series funding. So when he sees a deck, so I'll tell you, Ritesh Agarwal, founder of Oyo, when he was 19, Gaurav Kachru was the first one to see his pitch. and he was like, seeing a pitch at that moment and where the company is today. You can all imagine like what mistakes that he must have made then and now. What is the change? So what he focuses on competition. Of course the risks are less when people is putting money in you, knowing that the competition is less. But when the competition is huge, the risk increases. But still, you need to specify that very upfront and bluntly, whether it's direct or indirect, right? So make sure that you do it. Do not miscommunicate. Wrong valuation in the ask slide and fund utilization. So let me tell you guys, this is something you will not learn from everybody and everybody. This is what I'm doing is right now, whatever subtopics you will have in your different mentorship, I'm just mentoring session, I'm just comprising it into very small form, which will be helping you in your whole startup chart. When you're putting, because whatever you put in a pitch deck is everything about your startup, which for which you go like to see, you seek mentorship, whether it's business plan or marketing or competition or financials, right? So here I'm telling you few tips which are very helpful when you're putting it into a pitch deck. Wrong valuation in ask slide is a proper red flag, guys. You want X amount? Fine. Say 50 lakhs, say 1 CR, say 20 lakhs, anything you want. No problem. Say that I want for these number of months. Correct? Very easy and sorted. But here the times come that the founders are not able to segment it. Like you're asking for it, but now you don't know where to spend it, how to spend it. Because if somebody's putting a money in you, some money in you, they have to know that how you will be utilizing it and what will be the returns, right? Here the valuations work, but valuation is a myth at a very idea stage and early stage. You cannot project uh, firmly that this would be the returns, but you can project that I will be spending money this much in here places, and this will be my sales in next 8 months. That would be fine. But still, it's tentative. You cannot just say your project that if you give me 10 lakhs, I'll be giving you 1 crore. No, do not do this, please. And please be reasonable with what you are asking. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए आप 40 लाख मांग रहे हो, आपको पता है कि आपको 10 लाख ही चाहिए, बाकी 30 लाख आपको अपने अकाउंट में रखना है. Do not do this, guys, please. Fund utilization has to be very specific. Do not put wrong numbers. Lack of future projections and map. So when you're asking for money, as I said, the person should know that how will be you putting, like you'll be using the numbers, the figures or the amount, or at the same time, what is your roadmap? Are your short-term goals, decided? Because you are the founder, you are the execution person, you have to define the goals, the short-term goals and the long-term goals. So here the importance of map and roadmap and future projections come, which many of time people do not put, and hence they get rejected because they investors think that they are not clear about it. They're just asking it and they do not know what they're going to do with this or later on with the company. So roadmap gives a trust. Then comes fake current financials. This is very important, guys. As I said, do not fake your numbers. If you have zero revenue, say it you have a zero revenue. Do not fake it. It is okay. If you think you're showing a model that can be sustainable by adding on small amount of money, that is fine. As a students, we usually do not have something like, we do not have money apart from a pocket money that cannot be used for starting up. That is fine. Okay, just be prepared with what you want to do and put the right numbers. So another point is no entry barrier. So no entry barrier, by it I mean that many ideas are very innovative, right? If it's a medical industry or it's education industry or tech industry, there are many technical people who create tech products, very innovative products or algorithms, or what you say, a new design. So for this, and IPR is intellectual property is very important. And by IP I mean that it's a protecting or it's a reservation that you make by for protecting your ideas, right? If I'm a founder or a budding entrepreneur, I have an idea, and or even I have found the solution and I've written this thesis on it. I cannot share it with everybody, right? I know it's innovative and the only unique thing. So do not ask NDAs for sharing the idea to the startup to the investors because they don't like it. It would be great if you go to an IP firm first, get it reserved, get your IP reserved, then convey your idea to someone. That will save everybody's time and will not lead to even disappointments when you are making a pitch, right? So no stealing problem as well. So, and trust me guys, why no entry barrier? Because when investors are putting money, as I said, risk analysis is made, right? If you have an entry barrier, you have an IP with your product, the risk reduces, right? So entry barrier helps in convincing. If you don't have it, people do reject, right? So these are the points that due to which usually investors reject a startup founder. Then comes in the end, practice, practice, practice. This is a very common term which I tell everybody, because as I told you, if I wouldn't have made lakhs of practice now since 6 years, I wouldn't have been sitting here, right? So practice is very important. But a very important point adding to the practice term is, um, see, rejections are very much important in life. I did fail in my initial startups, and I learned a lot of things from it to be a successful entrepreneur. But there is a what do you say, a loophole here. There are many entrepreneurs. I would don't take a name, but even if I want to take a name like Jack Ma, and we appreciate or get motivated a lot of top founders who say that we got rejected 100 times, 150 times, 200 times, and then we became successful. But the time has changed now. That time was another, this time is another. If you're saying that I'll make 100 times a failure, you are wasting your life, your best time of your life. It would be better if you fail 5 times, 10 times, even 20 times, but do not repeat those failures. It would be great if you're failing in executing an operation rather than failing with an idea, right? So do not waste in like failing, waste time in much of the time in failing, and practice your pitch well. So because of course time is very valuable, so practice well. In the end, I would say like thank you for listening to me. And if anybody of you want to get your deck reviewed, I'm open for it. This is my ID. You can follow me here. But before that, I would ask Disha to take up the mic and ask all the questions that are there with you and everybody.
Yeah,
I'll just stop the screen.
yeah. So we have a 9-year-old entrepreneur with us, um, Avantika. She's there.
Yeah, hi Avantika. Are she's 9? She's literally 9 years old. My God, Mekhana, the
Yeah,
time has so much changed now.
Yes.
yeah. That is mainly what Kriya looks after, like mainly promoting and helping the young entrepreneurs succeed.
Great, great. That's very exciting, seeing such young ones to join and young minds. What Kriya and your team says.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Great.
I
So
will,
question, yeah.
yeah.
Carry on, carry on.
So I will quickly go through the question. So, first question is, what is the most vital part of a pitch, which is a deal maker or a deal breaker?
Okay, so a deal maker and deal breakers, of course, your solution, what solution you are bringing up, and what team you have. If you have a very, of course, team is sometimes. I have a co-founder who's from IIM, and I'm from a very basic engineering college. And when I initially had a word with him, we had a 1 hour discussion where we were actually criticizing each other that people look towards more of reputed college. This is like 2 years back, and as I'm not from a very good college, people will definitely not fund me until unless I'm from an IIT and IIM. But nowadays, even the trend has changed. Even the dropouts are excelling, are getting the funds. So the solution and the team are the basic two things which can you know convince the investors. And deal breaker would be same, and a turn off point, I would say that apart from just a wrong pitch, are the wrong financials. If you're pitching a wrong financials, there's a complete no coming from the other parties.
Okay, thank you. I think this question also covers a lot of other questions people have asked. And the next question is, this is also one of the very common questions, like how many failures did you experience before having your first successful startup and having your first pitch?
So as I said that, so I had earlier two startups. First one, I won't say I failed. I actually stopped it because as I had my last semester to do, and I had to end it. I couldn't do it. But yes, cheapest and nearest, I would say that I did fail there, and the reason wouldn't be the pitch. The reason was maybe having a wrong team member. You know, choosing a right co-founder is very important when you are forming a startup, because that person is someone who is like marrying you and will be staying with you throughout the exit, right, till the exit. So this is a very important point, and actually I didn't failed once. I failed many a times, I'm still learning to get a better one. I have one of the best one in my co-founding team, but before that I did fail many times. So that's a great learning. Apart from that, I fail daily, not only just failing a startup. When I was my initial days of easy to pitch, I failed a lot many times in establishing myself, where I was there, and now where I am. It took a lot of failures, but I ensured that I'm not repeating that mistake. If I'm repeating that mistake more than twice, I believe that either I am taking a wrong path, or like a better solution can be there. Repeating has not to be there in an option. That's it.
Okay. Then next question is, um, what were your mistakes that you realized which can lead to failed pitches? Like the most common mistakes, apart from the ones you mentioned in the
Yes,
slide.
so that's the first one, choosing a wrong co-founder, which I repeatedly did more than twice. And the another one is like never get emotionally attached to what you do. You won't believe that I'm part of HETSA Network Foundation from last 4 years. I still have 1 hour conversation with my co-founder where I'm sharing my emotions with him regarding that organization, where I'm just a volunteer with not getting just doing what I can do for the community, but not taking anything back, right? And that's where he says, and I have learned that emotional thing doesn't has not to be like existing, when you're doing business. When you're having a team, you're running a team, whether it's your junior, whether it's your designer, whether it's your salesperson, you have to maintain that thin line between professionalism and, of course, when you are having a team, you have to be a family, but you have to be mentally so strong that if that person is leaving you, or if you have to leave an organization or getting a rejection, do not be emotional and take a halt. Just keep on going. This, if you are emotional in your journey, thinking about I don't have friends, I don't have anybody to motivate, guys, then you are not going to succeed. You have to move on, keeping the emotions aside. Ha, log bolenge you're selfish, you are no more a friend, you have changed. No problem, when you're successful they'll come back, trust me. Yeah, next question. I
So
hope I,
next
I
question.
hope I hope I am answerable. I'm making a valid point here.
No. It's extremely valid because we were mentioning about emotions, and often that we have got a lot of participants also mentioning over the previous weeks. How do I not get attached to an idea or a product? How do I let go of it?
Do not get attached to your idea, please. Of course, I know. I am very much attached. I am attached, of course. I know I am very passionate about my idea, my execution, but in the end, I have to stay prepared that this is. I have to make an exit sometime later. I have to give it to somebody else. I have to have new people. So stay limited to your emotions. That's it.
Okay. So we have something like that, something an offshoot of what you were mentioning. This is a question, it's a very interesting question as well. Sometimes when we share what we feel is good communication to pitch, but when the person hears it out, they don't get it, and you feel that you're not connecting in the right way. Is there
Right.
any particular format of communication? I'm pretty sure all
Right.
of us would have faced this if we would
Correct.
have been
Correct.
pitching somewhere.
I'll give you another short story. When I first made a mic speaking in my 8th standard, I had to speak about the latest news that came in a newspaper about tigers tigers what extinction or something, and I made like I was making conversation here. I spoke sorry. I used sorry many times, if you guys remember, right? So this is not my new habit. This is something from there where I made a mistake while even reading content on my page, right, on my hand, and every line I made a mistake and I said a sorry. There were a crowd of 200 children in the audience in morning assembly. Every line, one paragraph, 10 times sorry, and that was a disaster. But gradually that gave me such a setback that from then today I understood that if you want to make somebody understand, this is a common problem. Even to the investors, you're showing, you're very passionate about your story, you're telling them, but सामने वाले को समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है. But that is not, of your fault. You're completely fine at your place. You just need to understand that person well first. That is that person very professional that he wants point to point description, or he is the person that he is a, like, suppose I am a story listener also, I will give my hours to listen you to. जो भी बोलो मैं सुन लूंगी, मैं खुद ही इवैल्यूएट कर लूंगी कि बोलना क्या चाहते हो. वो एक होता है जो कि बहुत कम लोग एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. जो बेस्ट फ्रेंड्स could be most of the time, not everybody, right? So when you're trying to communicate, practice that I said, practice first. If it's friends, okay, leave it. But it's a professional person, before going to that person, just give yourself 1 hour and think, write down the main key points you want to talk about in your communication, and stick to that points, and that would be very clear. No extra, nothing extra, nothing less. You are very specified in your mind what you want to put it. That's it. And practice well. That's it. It will be sorted. अगर नहीं समझ में आया तो हिंदी में समझा दो. इससे ज्यादा तो मैं भी नहीं बोल सकती कि if the person is not able to understand in English, हिंदी में समझाओ. Of course, our motto in the end is to make him understand and know the person well before pitching. That is very important.
I'm glad you're mentioning about writing points because it helps us as well, like correct your thoughts, not get it jumbled up completely in the mind.
Exactly.
So it's nice. Then, have you entered many competitions to pitch your idea? What did you learn after you didn't win a competition?
So I may be lucky enough that wherever I pitched my idea, I got selected because that was I would say that 3 months hard work that I went underground, no communication, nowhere, anything. Just, I have a screen, Google examples, listening to people, jotting down the points, and how can I make it crisp. So where I got selected was, it was in my first recognition was into top 3000 startups pan India. 5 years down the line by IIM Calcutta and DST Science, the Science Department of Government. Then IIT Delhi for top 30 women entrepreneurs. I got an award in e-commerce, a lot of stuff with only one presentation. And till date, I'm having that. I did not make even one change after that in the presentation till date. It's as it is. मुझे तो लगता है I should put it in like my room of, what do you say, a museum, that I got recognition because of this presentation. So I got recognition because of this. And where I failed, I told you I failed because I wrote so much of things. I was lucky enough that I got a good feedback, and I understood that how much founders are facing this kind of rejection because they have no mentor. I didn't even have a mentor to guide. So communication is, of course, the basics of everything we do, and that's how I came up to Easy to Pitch.
Okay, and the next question is about, can you just suggest some ways to capture the student market as a founder, because this customer acquisition cost of students is very high? I mean, you're the best person to answer this question because you are.
I don't believe, like, from last 3 days, I'm just talking to founders about CAC, customer acquisition cost. Dalna hi dalna hai slide mein if you don't have a traction. Okay, so customer acquisition cost is nothing. It's just the amount that you're spending to acquire one customer, your potential customer. That could be your traveling amount. That is, you're traveling through metro, 20 rupees going, 20 rupees coming back. That could be your Gmail account that you have pursued, that you have purchased for your Google, for your company. That can be your mobile bill. That can be your campaigns amount that you're running. So everything that is helping you to acquire one client is your total customer acquisition cost. So this is very basic and clear. Right now, here coming to the student market. So a student market, I really don't understand. If you have an idea whose target audience is student, that is one point. Or you you're asking like for a student, it's not easy to acquire a customer. So these are two different points. So if you're talking about acquiring a student market, collaborations work. If you're in university, you are in a best place right now to connect with all the e-sales pan India on just mail. Mail is such an easy tool. Just make a good content, get the ID from the website of the university, mail it, right? Not only this is something from direct e-sales you're connecting, but I'll tell you how I actually like for my organization, how I gathered that market, I captured at that market to help student entrepreneurs in their pitches. I'm a very cost effective person like you guys. I don't want to spend much on everything and everything. I save money. So I spent my like half an year of marketing with no, I still till date in 3 years I spent only 5,000 bucks on marketing, nothing more. And I took leverage of the Facebook marketing group where I was a part of around 50 to 100 student groups where people are, are members and are seeing the regular posts. So I know that the market is there. I mean, the audience is there. It's just that I need to engage them and attract them to my product, right? So I made creative and started putting, which is regarding the benefit of the students there. And there, if a group has 50,000 members, trust me, guys, I can give you in return 20,000 members will view it, and 10,000 will click on it in a longer run, and at least 10 of them. I will say 10 because that is only the hit and trial. I could say in a very early stage, 10 will come back to you, and by with 10 you can go to 100, you can go to 200, you can go to thousands, right? So this is way you can do it without spending much of money. So ऐसा नहीं है, कस्टमर एक्विजिशन के लिए वो भी सॉर्ट हो गया, मार्केट कैसे टारगेट करते हैं डिफरेंट प्लेटफॉर्म पे, सपोज स्टूडेंट मार्केट, दैट इज आल्सो सॉर्टेड.
Then the next, actually, we have a lot of participants, at least 4 or 5 of them, who are looking at the education market particularly. So,
Right, you can reach me anytime, personally, if you want any suggestion.
yeah.
I'm always available.
Yeah, she is always available. She will help you also out. So reach out to her. Then the next question is, what does your day-to-day look like as the CEO and the founder?
My day-to-day look like is something I sleep at 4 a.m. at night, doing mails, completing submissions, making charts, roadmaps, financials of the company, giving it to and mailing it to my another co-partner. Then getting up at 8 a.m. because my mom starts shouting, you have to wake up, and like dot 9 o'clock I start having calls. I have calls, taking mentoring sessions, webinars, marketing. I do not leave my hand from marketing. I do give my good time on LinkedIn in interaction with founders on my channel Startup Talk. I make videos where I take a topic, speak about it, and share it on my social media platforms. And then again, I get on a call once in a month. Oh, sorry, once in a week with my mentors, where I take another level of, actually not for you, another level of questions, and they guide me with that. And collaborations, I ensure that I'm not never stopping the collaborations. These are the main important points that I'm doing. And as I'm a CEO, you said, Disha, my team is very important for me. So I ensure that now, as this is a lockdown time, at least 5 to 6 hours I'm in direct call with them, knowing what they're doing, what they're not doing, and the execution is on track or not. So this is very important for every CEO in a company.
I'm glad you are mentioning about the execution, because it's not necessary that always you plan something and executing is a different thing. So I'm glad that you're also constant touch with your mentors and the students, because I think at least the first time we got an entrepreneur who was mentioning about having a mentor and being in touch with them. So this is the first guest speaker we got mentioned about.
Yeah, of course, of course. I told you, no, I know mentor is necessarily in every stage of your life. Whether it's your early stage, whether tomorrow if you are a mentor, I'm sure many of you here would be a successful entrepreneur. Still, the mentors that you had in early stage would be your mentor for a longer time, who will be keeping you guiding on. So same, I have mentors who helped me in my early stage.
Yeah, that's nice. And then the next question do we have is, how did you manage to come up with the company name? How long did it take you to come up with that?
So, do you want to be very truthful, or you want me to hiding very important part of it? So I'll tell you. I'll tell you. So this is a very true story about myself, guys, which very rarely people knows that when I was doing cheapest and nearest, I wanted to. I left my company. I had no pocket money, right? But I was spending all my money in operations and running the team. So there was a time when I was in the startup community, and when I faced that pitching wala thing. Just directly leaving the company and starting Easy to Pitch was not the thing. In that period, I validated my time with talking to more and more founders and helping them in making pitches. So that was a time where I made 70 to 8 founders, made them pitches, made them helping in them pitches, and they even raised funds. And my mentor, I was sitting with him and showcasing about my startup cheapest and nearest, and there he asked, "Tu karti kya hai time? Kahan spend karti hai?" Arpit Agrawal of Blue Ventures, if you guys know. And I was like, I was very scared, but I had to tell him that I do this and this. I made decks. So as he's an investor himself, he just asked to show me the presentation that you make. And he was so shocked that the for which he pays 3 lakhs of salary to his team person. I did it in 3 days with no charging, and that person raised also. So this was the time, an alarming time for me, where he asked me to just shut cheapest and nearest and start with Easy to Pitch. And Easy to Pitch was also not still a name. I was sitting with a friend talking about, telling him that this is very interesting and I'm able to help people a lot. And I don't know why I'm so inclined towards it, and I'm spending my time and not making money also it. Why not just, as I'm already an entrepreneur, why not start it as an organization? And there was a time, this was a time where I actually spent 2 hours in thinking that pitch के around होना चाहिए, कुछ भी होना चाहिए, pitch के around होना चाहिए. And I started searching on the GoDaddy domain, and this was this is the time that I actually searched Easy to Pitch. Why? Because I want to make everybody, I want to make it easy for everybody, that pitching is easy, not hard. Just don't make it difficult for yourself. And this, I was lucky enough to see that this domain is there, and I blocked it. Yeah.
The next question that we have is, during this pandemic, how much should the access of digital media should we do so to
Yeah.
convince that our digital pitch is authentic?
So very important question, which we actually missed out, the digital transformation that we had to talk about. So right now, the era is totally about digital. Again, I'll tell you my story. I'm lucky enough that I started my venture being virtual. I don't need an office. By sitting at home as a freelancer, I could do it, or I can talk on phone, or I can do something to help the founder on call on laptop. So I'm glad that I never made it a physical model. So when we talk about digital era, due to this pandemic, everything has shifted to this online internet. And those who need a physical presence, suppose retail industry, markets have many business owners have shut down their business. Retail businesses like zero, airline business has just, tourism has just started, but it'll still take a lot of time to come up, right? So digital platform is very important for us, for ourselves, for our own pocket money, I would say, not as a startup. But of course, if you are thinking to start something, trust me, making a model sustainable can be only possible when you're making it online now, because this is the only way that you'll keep points in mind, that if some natural calamity like pandemics happen, this is not impacting your model, right? So it is very important to think in that way. And make sure whatever model you're choosing is completely online. Of course, it may be fund needing, it would be a lot of, it would be needing technical support, or it would be tech savvy, but no problem. You won't believe that the era that we were imagining of will be 5 to 10 years down the line has just just came so early for us. Nobody knew, right? So if you're starting up right now, Sit down with your laptop, no problem. Take full advantage of social media platforms. LinkedIn to make contacts, connects. LinkedIn is the best platform right now to gain knowledge and give knowledge, to make connects and expand. Then social media platform. Many students I've seen have become digital marketing influencers. They were nothing before like this. They were just seeing the videos of people learning, and now they are just bringing back the knowledge, right? So they are now maybe they are the future digital market agency owners. Can be at the age of 17 they are doing right now. So anything can be converted into a business model. It's just that ensure that your model has to be sustainable, digital, and should be sustainable in terms of pandemics, right? That should be very much in your mind when we talk about digital transformation.
The next question that we have is, for market validation, how important is it to have primary research market validation done?
Sure. So, any founder, any budding entrepreneur that comes to me, brings an idea to me, the very first thing I ask that, did you validate your idea? This is a very biggest problem, Disha, and everybody who's listening to me, that we have millions and billions of people coming with ideas daily. But what next? Who is there to help them, to just tell, are you thinking right or not? I had my parents to seek advice to validate it, although they didn't do it because I was too young. But if I'm going now to my dad, as he's a businessman, he'll definitely help me in guiding, right? So validation is very important to save your time. And for validation you don't have to do much. Of course, if you have searched a problem, that problem would be just because you have yourself 90 to 99% you must have yourself faced it. Like like I started out because I faced that problem. Similarly, mostly the time is the time that you face that problem, and then you want to seek solution for yourself. And when you seek solution for yourself, now it's the time that you're thinking, if I have this problem, maybe there are many of them who are facing this problem, right? So what is the validation here? First of all, the validation is yours with yourself own, that you're able to find a problem and you're able to find a solution. And then the validation comes with the next thing, where you can see that there are many others who actually are facing this problem, maybe 10, 15, 20. And how you can do it? Of course, market research will not help you every time and any time. Many have to go door to door just to ask, their point of view, maybe even in the form of surveys. People nowadays are doing a lot of forms and surveys, right, to understand the situations and problem. That is another point where you can do validation at your idea stage, whether one is saying if she or he is facing the same problem. And then this is how you validate a problem in a next 100 customers, next 100 people. Then comes another stage of validation now, where you have to actually convince what you say, a person who wants to put money in you, or next 1,000 customers maybe. So validation will be in each and every step. Even if you make a product, you validate that product. How? You made a pencil, you actually ask that person who shared his problem before to use that pencil, and tell me his feedback, whether it was helpful or not. Here comes the another validation. So when I'm talking about a roadmap of a startup journey, I ensure, or I make every founder in my connect ensure that anything and everything he is doing has to be validated on his own by the existing customers, or by the existing people around. That is the easiest way. Market research कब करना? जब आपके first 100 customers ने या 100 potential customers ने उसको validate कर दिया है. Then comes the market research, when you are actually jumping from first 100 to first 10,000, then first 10,000 to first million, like 1 million all. So that's how step by step validation goes, and at every step, whether you're making a first sale, whether you're making a product, whether it's your solution emerging, whether it's your problem, or whether you are talking to investor, validation is important everywhere. Even if in today in my company, I'm making an idea, I'm making a strategy, thinking overnight, and going and pitching it to my team members or board members, they give me one thing to do. Take 2 days, validate it. If it is workable, come to us back and execute it at a larger level. So that is how validation works, and it is very important aspects in your journey to reduce failures.
And can you also answer a question which is similar to what you mentioned? How do you understand and interpret the system feedback?
Okay, how we interpret the system feedback. So it depends on, first of all, how much many feedbacks you're targeting right now. If it's you're taking that 10 surveys, first of all, you have to make sure that 10-20 surveys or feedbacks would not be enough. It has to be minimum 100. Make a target that you need 100 feedbacks from different set of audience, whether first of all your closed ones, your parents, your colleagues, your peer, same industry people who might be having same industry and maybe your indirect customers, or maybe having same industry but different product. Then comes your feedback from your potential customers. So ensure that overall total from different segments you're making at least 100 feedbacks, right? And when you're aligning it and summarizing it, you have to, like, the analytics work very well when you are very much clear in the communication that what feedback you're looking for, right? Of course, if you're selling a product, first you need to make them understand first that what this is all about, right? Then you ask a feedback. Otherwise people don't understand and give you a random feedback, that is again waste of time, right? So these two things are very important when you're seeking feedback. What was the other point that you question that you made in the same thing, Disha?
Just how do you understand the system feedback? The whole, yeah, it is just that system
Okay,
feedback so that
system
you can.
feedback. Yeah. So as I said, understanding the system feedback is nothing. I believe it is just that you get, you know, suppose I have a product and I want to see that will that person buy my product or use my product, right? If I am creating a form in such a way that I would understand like I would understand a customer behavior from that feedback, and I'll get to know that this person is my potential customer or not. This should be in a focus of your mind, focus and in your mind when you're making that form, or taking that feedback from the person. So this is what is the main thing when you're doing it.
Okay. And the next question is, does elevator pitch seem to be unprofessional to some of the investors? When do I decide that elevator pitch is appropriate?
So elevator pitch, I said, is it's not at all not professional, unprofessional. Of course, it varies person to person. As I said, you have to first give some time before making a pitch. Of course, this is another point that I need to make to you guys, that when you're making a pitch to someone, I think you should give at least half an hour to at least know that person well. अगर आप LinkedIn पे जा रहे हो, आपको दिख गया वहां पे there is a written investor, and you're suddenly just poking him up with a message that I want funds for this. This won't work, guys. You need to understand that is that person actually investing in startups, and if he's investing in startup, is he from your same industry or not? Or if he's from the same industry or not, do you think that have you seen that he doesn't have the same product portfolio in his company already funded? So these points are very much important when you're making a pitch, right? So this definitely saves your time and his time. So ensure first to whom you're pitching. And sorry, what was the question? Come again, Alisha?
When do I decide that elevator pitch is appropriate?
Yes,
I think you
coming to an
covered it.
elevator. Yes, so coming to an elevator pitch, when you know the person to whom you're pitching and you see that his behavior is something very professional and he would not give you even 60 seconds to you, then in that case just mail him the pitch deck. But if you can seek his attention in a comment section, by telling him what you do and in the same context of what he's posting, that is your elevator pitch. And it's not that it's professional or not, it's just that you have to attract towards what you want to pitch in 2 to 3 lines. That's it. And 2 to 3 lines has to be with these very segmented part that I told you: solution, traction, and market. What you say, validation. That's it. Nothing is nothing is not professional here. You are. But the way I spoke about my company was very clear and very direct. It saves times and is nothing not professional. So elevator pitch, just do it to engage. It's okay.
And the next question we have is, as an early stage startup, how do I ensure that the new products that I'm building are, I'm sorry. Uh, So you can share the information mainly with your stakeholders without breaching any confidentiality rights or letting them steal your idea.
Come again with the starting part.
So it is mainly the person who's asking the question that when you're an early stage startup, you want to protect your idea, right? So how do you
Okay.
ensure that the people you're working with uh,
Yeah,
appreciate
sure.
it?
First of all, I would say, just pardon me, Disha, that soon I'll be having a session on IPR also, where people can go get to know about it, about the protection of idea at the early stage on 28th June. So, as I said, when you're making a pitch, it isn't, what do you say, a hack to convince investors very early, because of course it's a risk taking thing. And when you're not only investors, even if you're sharing it in your peer, just ensure if your idea is very innovative, very unique, and can boom in the industry. Of course, every founder knows the capabilities. That's why we are passionate about it. It would be better if you spend some time in getting it into an intellectual property, which is a reservation done to protect your idea. That would not cost you much. You just have to write down thesis on it, 2 to 3 pages, and just give it to the firm. You can reach me. I would connect you guys. Just reach to the firm, and they'll get it done for you. At least you will have a provision of it, and that's a green signal that now you can share your idea to anybody and everybody without talking about NDAs, guys. Because NDA is a very, what do you say, very turning off point for us when a startup entrepreneurs or an idea stage person is coming to us, when we are dealing with thousands of ideas, and somebody is asking us to, okay, first share an NDA, sign an NDA was first, then only I can share you an idea. This is not a right way of communication, and here only the person will not go ahead with you, because you're, first of all, you have to understand that for investors, execution is more important than idea, right? And if you think idea is also very big, get an IP done. It's a better option, and it's a very easy and very small process to run, and it's no harm. Spend your some of your pocket money on it. It's okay.
Okay. Thank you. The next question that we have is how do you build good relationships with the investors and advisor and the board of members so that you can navigate the pitfalls properly and you can also judge who is the right fit for your company and who can guide you better.
Correct. So I'll go step by step. First of all, to make a good relation with an investor. So I don't know why I'm repeating all this, because maybe I would have been a good consultant. So I did disappointed many investors in conversation, but it was very least of it. Many of them were quite appreciating the way I communicate. So when you are convincing an investor, engaging them, just ensure that do not talk extra, talk very limited, and the conversation has to be very intellectual. And investors like when you seek guidance more than a money. If you're talking in a way where, even if you're reaching to investors on LinkedIn, no, it is a best way of putting something in front of you, where you are asking them to mentor you first, see the product, give a feedback, do not fund it, just give me a healthy feedback with your experience, and guide me with your expertise. And trust me, guys, many of the investments that have happened due to this only, because no money has been put on startup in the very first day. The investors go in a deep mentorship sessions for 1 or 2 to 3 months till the term sheet comes out. So of course, by they shortlist by application. But if you think that the application is not getting selected, you need a direct link. Just do this way, and find the compatibility. This is another point that you made, that how to choose a right investor for yourself, right? First of all, again, as I mentioned, that know to whom you're pitching. If an idea stage, just do not go and waste your time to pitching it to the venture capitalists. They will not listen to you, because that ticket size of funding, the stage of funding is very different. It would be great if you go to the incubation cells and the acceleration cells, or the angel investors. Angel investors could be a family friend, could be someone who is from the corporate industry, or your colleague or ex-colleague, right, who wants to fund, right? So or your senior. So you know to whom you're pitching, first of all. Second thing is that just see if that person is adding value in your startup or not. Because earlier, the okay, angel investors are mostly investors who are just knowing about, they are putting money like a stock market, and they want the money back with returns, right? But organization like incubators and accelerators or VCs are the people who are not the direct investors. They have the investors at the back end, but they are the people who are doing all the fund management, right? So they have to ensure the returns are getting back. So to ensure, what they have to do, what they do is they bring a lot of value addition to the startup, so that they have a growth, scalability, and then they are able to return. And that growth and scalability can be in the form of providing good mentorship, good helping hands, good team members, good channel networks. So that is how we should think of that when we are seeking an investor, how much value addition that person can make in your startup to grow. That's it. These are the two very much important points that you have to make. To whom you're pitching saves your time in a better way. A better way would be to check the compatibility by asking to be a mentor first and give feedback. And then the second point I made is like, see who can add value in your startup.
Okay. Thank you. I think that we got a very clear answer, like how to go with the whole journey of how to invest, how to approach, and then see how the returns come out. The next
Yeah.
question that we have is, a couple of people have asked, can you add a video in a pitch deck?
So what can you
Can you
add
add a
a
video in a pitch deck?
Okay, so first of all, depends on what kind of video you want to add. Normally videos won't work. When you're putting you, there has to be no glitch when you're sharing a file. Many times, I would say that we get decks for reviewing, and they attach a video on it, and there is some technical issue, right? And again, why to spend time putting a video rather than if you can put it in our content, or because many people also do what they do is they record themselves for a pitch rather than then doing a pitch deck. That is also happening. But the same thing happened that the investor don't understand mainly what they want to do, and they even don't talk about numbers. So you have to ensure what you're doing when you're making a pitch. You want to add a video, just do it well by putting it into the content, the summary that you're doing in the mail, that I'm also attaching a video in the deck. Let me know if you face an issue with it. तो अगर वो या तो deck के साथ video लगा दो side में, rather than putting it into the presentation. That would be a better way, avoiding technical glitches.
Okay. The next question that we have is, how do you reach out to the right people who will give you the proper idea about the IPR stuff? Also, how to reach to different people, even in markets, so you do not feel cheated.
Okay, first of all, how to reach to the right people. Guys, efforts मेरे भी लगे थे, आपको भी लगाने ही पड़ेंगे, because you can never get shortcuts to the right people ever in your life. If I failed in finding the right co-founder, that is because I was learning and experimenting, and I realized that what I need as a co-founder will not create any issue in my life or in my startup journey. Similarly, if you're finding a right investor, right person to connect, you have to check. Of course, LinkedIn is the best platform for that, and you have to check the behavior of that person. If you have found that, suppose in a network you have found about a person who is very much interested in your same industry, suppose it is agriculture, it's medical, you can see that the person is interested in medical domain, and what you can do is spend next 1 week in just seeing what are his likes, what are his comments, what are his posts, and then you can actually understand that the intellectual knowledge of that person, what he follows, and add the likes and dislikes matching when it comes to content. And then would be a point where you are starting connecting and interacting for a next call or something to discuss on feedbacks, what you do, what you don't do. This is usually used to do on Facebook. Now it's all professional on LinkedIn. It's just that you have to just make your limitation towards professionalism, and of course say the checking up the person well. क्या बोलते हैं उसको, स्टॉक करना बोलते हैं ना, स्टॉक कर लो, कोई बात नहीं. This will be helping you to get the right person for your journey.
Okay. And do you suggest always having a co-founder for a startup or not?
So investors do not like solo entrepreneurs. I actually had good arguments with so many investors who are actually near and dear ones to me. Like a immature mentee, I always fight with them that why are you not investing in the solo entrepreneur if he's earning so well in the market? And the person and the investors say this very very valid point that if he's not there, who will take care of it? If he's sick for 2 days, who will be there for execution? You will be sitting there. Will you be accountable? Accountability is very important if you have taken somebody's money, right? That's why solo entrepreneurship can work in traditional businesses, not in innovative startups. You need someone who can take care of your responsibilities when you are not there, right? So that's why um, co-founders are very much needed, of course, to impress investors and not investors. It's all for your own benefit to ensure that company keeps on running even if you're not there, right? So you cannot play single-handedly a single team and cannot do anything and everything to run a company. That is for sure. You have to open up and bring someone on board. Of course, compatibility is very important. As I said, I failed, of course, in finding right co-founders, but I did not lost the hope. I did not lose the hope. I kept on finding new one and ensure that at least I'm not repeating those mistakes that I've did before, right? Choosing a best friend as a co-founder and as entirely a random person as a co-founder. The random person worked for me well than a best friend from 8 to 10, 11 years, right? So that how sometimes work. Even blood relations could not work as a co-founder many times, right? So you have to take wise decision, but you have to have a co-founder until unless you are so confident and sure that you would never need it, but this would never be a chance in today's world.
Okay. And the next question that we have is it better option to raise a debit note rather than seed money in the initial phase of the startup?
Yeah, of course, you won't believe many entrepreneurs like Cashify founder Nikunjan, like many more of them actually took a wise decision to take debt loan than equity loan, because they know that they will definitely make good sustainable model and they will earn well and they'll return it with the interest. So and they are still they are successfully doing. So it's on the choice. If you're ready to give your equity in returns of good value addition, it's totally worth. If I have to choose a debt and equity, why I'll choose equity? Because I know the person that I'm putting my papers in front, I know that that will add on much value to me in just share of 10%. That is fine. That I can, like, spending much of money on my salesperson and spending 10% equity of making 100 times of that revenue which I could do from just from the same salesperson in 10 years, while doing it just with one person giving 10% equity. That's worth it, guys. That's worth it. But of course, it's again that it's totally on you whether you can share it or not, and you have fixed exit strategies or not. If you still doubt your exit strategies, do not take equity loan. You can go for debt loans.
If you have plans to branch out into different domains in future, should you include that in the pitch deck or not?
So, okay. So yesterday when I was sending my deck for a raise for my company, I'll tell you the raise was because now we are going into a tech platform. We'll have a proper app where we'll be having anybody and everybody coming to us not only regarding pitch, everything that they seek help with in their early stage, right? And they get the right connect. So talking about the domain, I would say that I am like forever in this industry now. I cannot change my forte. It's just that I believe that many opportunities came to me. I would just quote few examples. My clients, my founders whom we have served, one founder has actually from last 5 years made three exits, three startups, each startup in a year, three exits with good funding raised with our presentation and our knowledge and everything in that deck. And still he is in my contact. and there are many more like these who actually keep on reaching me for an opportunity to join the company. But you have to stay focused. No, if I have my forte already aligned towards guiding the founders to be pitch ready and not get rejection, that means I have to stay focused in this industry for long. uh, and again, you won't believe, my co-founder was talking. I don't know why I'm sharing with you guys, but this is in reality. When I was talking about the exit strategies or my investment deck with my co-founder, he was actually saying that, what do you think, Priyanka? Like, after how many years can we make an exit by selling our shares, and then can buy this very funny, buy jet, our jet and our farmhouse. And I was like, dude, you are actually thinking of selling your shares. I'm not. I am a person who gets angry when a startup founder gets acquired. I do not like that, because if you have started your baby, how can you get it acquired? How can you just leave it? Talk about Ankur Warikoo, who is founder of Nearby. Even though he has exited as a CEO, he never left it. He's still there. He just said that I will never exit it because this is my baby. So that's how we have to be staying focused, something what we want to do forever, and what we want to build. So if I'm saying I'm one-stop solution in India, I will ensure that I will be it forever, and stay on it. And that's how we have to be with everything we start. Of course, many people do leave it. That is totally your choice, but it's good to have something that we start our own and stay focused on one thing. Because one more investor, I will say, I like taking names. So Advantage is a one startup investment firm. So there is another investor there, whom I told my first time that, he asked me, what you do, what startup. I said, what startups you have. He was there in Head Start for a mentoring session. I was an organizer there as a volunteer. So I said, I run two startups, cheapest and nearest and easy to pitch. You know what he said? He said one thing to me: do it one. You cannot sail on two boats at a time. You will end up with one very badly, and that happened. That actually happened. And from that day onwards, the one thing that I speak to people around, that please do not do two to three things at a time. Stay focused. If you want to move to a new sector, leave that and start again. That's fine, but do not do two things at a time. That's it.
Okay, and the next question that we have.
I hope I am not making, giving boring answers and, spoiling your afternoon or
No,
evening now.
I think the best thing that we got over here today is that we got a lot of clarity regarding pitching investors, something which we didn't in our previous sessions. So sometimes
Yeah.
we couldn't even understand like how should we approach those answering those questions. So I'm glad that you are doing it this time because we are getting also a lot of questions
Great.
and
Yeah.
a lot of clarity is coming mentally.
Yeah.
Then one question that we have is at least 3 or 4 people have asked us, which again Vedant also asked, what should be your thought process when you are starting out a startup? How should you adapt to it constantly as you go through the changes of building it?
Okay, so whenever you are choosing to start a startup, you have to keep this in mind. First of all, um, the mind has to be very much prepared mentally that you will have zero money. Not any industry you start. I will come to that point about what could be the right industry, but you have to ensure, you have to make up your mind that you are not here for the initial days at least to earn millions. You are here to invest millions and then become a unicorn, right? And you have to be mentally prepared that nobody is there from which you can expect at every point of your journey. You have to be self-sustainable, self-independent, and nurturing yourself on your own, whether it's by knowledge, whether it's by guidance, whether it's by experimentation. Of course, people will be there to guide you, of course, to support you mentally, but would not be there standing you or spoon feed you. If you're expecting someone to spoon feed you, you'll never go in a successful journey, right? So learn to accept that and learn to be ready with these hardship and challenges. Second thing is that when you are starting up, ensure that you are not just thinking of a solution, right? You're thinking of a problem. Many people, what they think that they suffer from a problem, but they think that all of them are facing that problem, and then end up in getting a disaster startup. They have to shut it down because they never thought of that actually is that problem existing or not for others as well. Can this solution be right or not, or this is just solution better for you, not for the others? So these points are very much critical when you're starting up. And do not be in a hurry, guys. I was in a hurry in cheapest and nearest, like a fool, spending n number of amount and getting it registered in just 1 month, getting fooled by vendors, by outsourcing tech platforms which I could have saved, um, and lot of things, which I learned in my early stages because I was in hurry. I was hurry in distribution of my equity with random people, not random, of course, in the co-founder, without understanding the consequences that could be impacted, that could be impactful for me later. So whenever you're starting up, please give some time to yourself to understand about your roadmap. How will you go it? How will you start it? What are your plannings and your short-term goals? Then say that I'm starting up. Do not just say that अब मैं startup कर रहा हूँ, मुझे एक idea मिल गया, problem मिल गया, solution मिल गया, मैं तो startup कर रहा हूँ. Never ever do that. This is a uh, if I am telling you my example, वो 6 साल पहले था. Now you guys are so much around, like you're around so much of resources and guidance that we as an experienced people will tell you to not to repeat the same mistakes. Take your time. 1 महीना लग जाए, 2 महीना लग जाए, 6 महीना लग जाए, not a problem. Just be best at what you're doing and take time to understand what you need and what you're doing. That's it. Then start up. And talking about the industry you want to choose, industry कुछ भी कर सकते हो. अगर अभी retail industry has dropped down because of the pandemic, it's okay. That doesn't mean that industry is like stopped completely. The company, the things have opened again, unlock हो गया है, just starting up. It's just a matter of 2 to 3 months, or maybe some point of time where recession is there, and recession can be a part of problem, but it cannot be ever existing. So it would be a time to build a new roadmap, right? So industry can be any to hit on. It's just that you as a founder, be smart with what you're doing and save yourself from another failure. That's it.
Then this is the last question that we have for today. It is about having minimal resources, how to invest in talent who do not have the long-term plan of staying in the same company as you.
So again, ending up with this question and having a very real time story. I hired my first designer for my company, and actually I spent 2 months in training that. Suppose if I spend 1 year in making pitch decks and making the designs for the startup, I understand that what they need and what is required, and then transferring the same knowledge to a designer by after hiring them and paying so well, giving well nourished ambience, like a premium space, co-working space, advantage, and lot of things just to retain that, team members, and giving salary, sab kuch diya na, sab kuch. And that was my first designer. And as I told you, never get attached to your team members. So this is actually, I went into, even I cried like a kid for 2 days. Dude, I spent my time, so much of time in guiding that designer to do what I can do. And if I'm not there, that person can do, right? And suddenly, that efforts are in zero, are in like pani fir gaya efforts hai mere. And then I am in anxiety that I will again find, I will like step onto 150 applications to find a new designer, then again spending my 2 to 3 months on it, and transferring my skills. But this time, I ensure that I'm not emotional. I'm ready to face it. That I have set up my mind already that this person can leave me anytime, whether tomorrow, day after tomorrow, a month, 6 months, or an year. And that actually designers staying dusra love, to whom I'm not much emotional with. But yes, of course, you have to make a family, you have to make the relationship. But of course, it's in your mind that you're not telling anybody that you're less emotional, right? So it's been 8 months now that the person existed. Touch wood. I'm still scared. But the what point I want to make is like, Do not be emotional, and finding the right talent is like not necessary all the time, right? If you can find a person you can train and can make such a relationship that can be long existing, that is also fine if he didn't have that much talent before. Because if he had very much a good talent, that he will easily leave you for money, because he is smart enough to know that अभी मेरे को इतना पैकेज मिल रहा है, तो मैं कहीं और भी जाऊंगा तो मुझे ज्यादा पैकेज मिल जाएगा. तो छोड़ना सबको है. It's just that if you're getting a person in your team, just ensure, do that person believe in your vision? The mind is connecting, that if I am choosing a team person for my team, I ensure that that person has an entrepreneurial mind, because we make founders pitch ready. An entrepreneurial mind while making even a design is very much important, right? So mindset is very much important in line. What you say, learning and growing, what do you say, quality. If somebody wants to learn and want to grow from the very initial stage, that person should be hired, no matter if he has skills or not. He can be trained, but growing and learning attitude can be very helpful in retaining that person for long. And that, of course, belief in the vision what you're doing. So these points are very much important to keep in mind when you are hiring someone for your team at early stage. And see, many people who say that I don't have that much funds to hire at early stage, that is okay. You can still have people to join as initially co-founders. जो ज़्यादा time रुक जाते हैं तो अच्छी बात है, जो नहीं रुकते हैं कोई बात नहीं. In that case, you can always hire interns that are still there are. So I'm glad to see this world now, that there are many people, many children who want to work as an intern, even school time. Like we have just so young person here in the session. So there are many children who get the basic knowledge and want to intern in a startup, no matter if they get money or not. So there are many talents like that as well. So now it's a bigger market. You can find everything and anything. Just don't be emotional. That's the basic learning I could share.
And we have another question, which is, would you give the same credibility to an idea of a college student while pitching as you do for a seasoned founders? How would you want me to pitch to you if I want to work with you?
Sure, you can reach me through Disha, and I would like to know about you. And first of all, of course, I need to see if you believe in the vision and have an entrepreneurial mindset. I would have no problem if you would leave me. You won't believe, again, that designer who left me, now she runs her own agency of designing. So you can understand that things can happen anytime. If you want to come join me, if you want to learn and grow with me, I would be happy to have you in my team, and for a longer time, of course. And I would myself suggest you that do not stay with me for years. After a year or two, leave me and start your own organization like people do.
Okay, so that's it, Priyanka. Thank you so much. It was actually a very good session that we had today. We had got a very good clarity. You touched upon everything: investment, pitching, founders, the pitfalls you have, roadmap, strategy, everything. I think one of the participants is asking, can you guide them how to build up a good financial projection plan? And what are the most important things which are there in the business plan of the financials as compared to a pitch deck?
Dude, that needs another 1 hour. I cannot wrap it in that 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Trust me. A detailed business plan and detailed financial guidance is something I think Disha needs to take another seminar with me for you guys. But no problem. I guess
We'll be happy to do that.
Running. Oh, sure, of course. Then I would ask my co-founder also to join, as he's a finance expert and good guidance for that, and even I can guide for that. So till then, you can even reach me personally, but give it in short for good financial plan. As I said, that there are certain numbers that you have to be clear on. I would just term them. That is your CAC, customer acquisition cost. Your sales projections for 3 consecutive years if you have started making revenues. If you haven't made any revenue and you are doing a freebie model right now, it would be great if you talk about your impacts that you have created, the impacts that you have made on lives, maybe through your product or anything. So that would be one form of financial that you can show with your user base. And even if you're making your projections for year after year, year on year, just ensure that your margins are whatever you're presenting, your margins are correct. And even if you're churning a lot of amount, it's okay. Tell me that I have made 80,000 of revenue, 80,000 revenue, out of which 70,000 I've churned, 10,000 is still with me. It's okay. If you showcase your financials such on your P&L sheet. So these are the basics that you should use in your detailed business plan. But in a pitch deck, you don't need to do such of things. Pitch deck is fine with your YOY, year on year, and your users or traction till now. Certainly that I made like 350 plus startup founders, and this is my revenue projection. That's it. That is enough for a pitch deck in a very initial stage.
Okay. Okay, so that's it. That's it. Thank you so much, Priyanka. And we also have a lot of clarity because I think the way you answered the questions, like a few of them have mentioned, it was extremely organized, and it was
It would be great if you guys can give me a feedback shout out to
yeah.
understand that if I added value to you guys or not. I'm already there on LinkedIn. You just write Startup Talk on Instagram. I'm there with my videos there, and on even LinkedIn you can reach me for every question. And I'm sure Disha would connect you guys with me
Yeah.
on mail also if you want to get a validation to your ideas.
Yeah. So if you guys want, like, I am going to share the LinkedIn ID also with you in WhatsApp group, which I have already. I will share it with you guys again. And anything you have it, you can just contact me once. And we also have a feedback form that we are going to share with them.
Thank you so
We
much.
have
That
a
would be
few
awesome.
comments also in the chat. Trying to look at it.
Okay. Okay, yes, I could see that. Thank you so much, guys, for being a very patient audience and listening to me and giving such smile faces. This Avisha Pandya. Hi, Avisha. I could see her all the time, giving such a nice smile to everything I say. It was really nice seeing it.
No,
Actually
actually,
motivated me.
yeah, I was able to relate to you. That's what. As someone who wants to start up, and I mean, I'm still at a very early stage. I have to validate my idea. So it was really nice to see what you were saying, and it actually made sense. So yeah,
Great, great. I'm sure many of you would have the same thing to say, and thank you for being a very good audience. Thank you, Krishna, for having me and all the team at um, Youth. So sorry, I forgot. MIC.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
Kriya. I'm
fine.
so sorry. I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for having me.
Once again, thank you. That if we have any questions, we'll ask the participants to reach out to you as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
I would leave. Thank you.
Priyanka, we'll see you
I
again.
think Ajinkya
Sure,
has
sure.
raised his hand. Ajinkya, you have something to say?
Okay, just let's unmute him and let him say, rather than Disha taking efforts to read his question now.
Yeah. Okay.
Last question, guys, please.
So
I,
the last question that we have is, how do I ensure that whatever I answer, like you do, is very well structured and has minimal points and clarity?
Practice.
practice makes
Because
man and woman perfect both.
perfect. When I made my first pitch, it was disaster. When I make my today's pitch, it is because I made a lot of learnings there. I failed and I got so much of experience. So if you are making a pitch, ensure that you are making at least 100 times before doing it professionally in front of anyone. I'm sure you just record your first pitch and your 100th pitch, and you'll find the difference.
I'm pretty sure that a lot of us will reach to that stage and recall back to what the feedback is, and that would be a better mark to suggest.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
other last thoughts or comments you have for us?
I am so exhausted now. I think I had said everything that I had in my mind. So I would just lastly say, कहते हैं ना वो, I am not a motivational speaker, but I am a person who would consider any founder just like me. Anybody who asks me who inspires you, I would say I don't have any public figure or role model that inspires me. I have all the founders in my connect or in my touch who tell me their story and they inspire me with all the challenges they face and how they solve it. So stay motivated and just stay focused in what you want to do and inspire people with your stories. That's it.
Yeah. That's it, guys. Okay, guys. So next session that we have is with Hari Naran. It's on Wednesday, and it will be he's going to mainly touch upon customer and user experience and research. So it will be good to have you guys over there. And if you want to reach out to Priyanka, I will share out the details with you in the WhatsApp groups as well. A lot of you have asked me already. I will share it with you.
Chalo, thank you guys. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
me. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye
Priyanka.
guys.